As I've said many times before with Game Design Deep Dive Free to Play, a big point about the book is discussing the ethical ramifications when it comes to monetization, live service, and free to play games. And for our critical thought today, I want to talk about a very sticky topic and why it is a long time for us to try and establish what is a fair price for digital goods. As I'm sure all of you are well aware of, Diablo Immortal has been doing really well in terms of its monetization, not so much in terms of player approval and enjoyment. And of course, people have been spending thousands, and I do mean thousands of dollars, trying to get legendary gems, or doing that legendary gem simulator, which could be the next big idol craze, who knows. But when it comes to monetization and free-to-play design, this has been one of the more, I guess, how do we say, like, murky or very ethically gray aspects when it comes to live service. As I said in my book, it is entirely fair and justifiable for a developer to earn money off of content they make, be it a new scarf, a new character, maps, expansions, horse armor, whatever. But the question, and this is one that we haven't answered yet, how much should somebody earn from that? How much does that fancy new hat cost, or that cosmetic skin, or anything along those lines? And this is where it gets very, I think, unethical in a way when it comes to live service games. Because there is no oversight. There is no standard for what something should be cost or something we should price it at, what's the amount or the drop rate, and even how much someone can spend to acquire that. So if you imagine a casino where the house sets not only how much it costs to pull the slot machine, but the drop chance or the actual chance of getting a jackpot, and they even control how much money you get from it, that seems a little unethical, right? It seems like it wouldn't be that fair. And yet, this is the standard for every live service, for every free-to-play game that's been released in the last, well, going on over 12 years now. Doesn't matter if we're playing a game like Azur Lane, Dead by Daylight, Arknights, Genshin Impact, Diablo Immortal, pick any of them. And there is no set standard for price. We have, when it comes to the traditional market of any market, there is the MSRP, the manufacturer's suggested retail price, but it's also competing with other people. When you go to buy cereal at a supermarket or go buy a new car, those cars and those goods, they're being priced competitively. But in a live service game, there is no competition. Because again, these games are meant to be insular. What I do in this game has no effect on what I do in this game or in that game. And again, this is not transferable, and we'll talk more about play to earn later on in this video. The point is, this doesn't seem like it's very consumer friendly. So we're going to play a little game. It's time for another game designer quiz here for a critical thought. Everyone get your pen and paper ready. I'm going to describe to you several options or things you can buy in a video game. I want you to put in the comments below, what do you think is a fair price for this, or to charge for it? Okay, are we all ready? Number 1, a hat. Could be a top hat, could be a baseball cap. It's a hat. A hat is a hat. Number 2, a cosmetic skin. And let's go with something a little bit bigger. So we're talking about a conversion skin. So something that changes the entire look and sound of a character. Think the premium skins from League of Legends. Next, a character in a competitive-driven game. So we're talking a MOBA, a fighting game. If this is a class-based shooter, these would be new characters, that kind of thing. Okay, it sounds easy so far, right? Now let's get to something a little bit trickier. How much should the highest rarity in a gacha game, how much should a character be should cost for that? And again, we can be talking about a 6-star, a UR, a SSR, It doesn't matter the actual title, we're talking about highest rarity. But let's break this down a little bit more. What do you think is a fair drop chance for getting one of those highest rarity characters? And let's go a little bit more. What do you think is a fair pity? As in, if I spend or I make X amount of pulls, if I don't get that character by the end of that pull, the game should just give it to me. It's not so easy, is it? I'm going to be very curious about where the comments are going to fall, because again, a lot of the people who are watching this, I know everyone here is going to be more on the traditional or retail side of things, especially a lot of the indie developers. So what you say may not necessarily match what a lot of the mobile fans or mobile developers would say. And you see, this is the problem. There is no real set standard for what a 6-star character costs in a game. To give you a case in point, in Arknights, the one that I'm playing right now, it costs about $3.30 here in the United States to do one pull. So a 10 pull comes out to just over, well, I think it's like $33 or something along those lines. I did the math on my post that I wrote for this. But if you want to try and pull for a limited character where they do give you a 150 pull pity, that comes out to, I think it was like about like $430, $450, somewhere around there to get one character. And I am terribly sorry, but I don't think there is any content that a developer can create for a game that can justifiably cost hundreds of dollars. And like I said, I want to talk more about play to earn in the second part of this piece. And this is why, as I've been thinking about Diablo Immortal and about my upcoming book, it is time that we as an industry try to figure out what should be the max spend per user. As in, how much should someone have to spend to get any kind of these kinds of content? How much should a hat or a vest or a gun skin in a loot box or a gacha, how much should that be the max price? And I don't think $400, $500, $300 should be the answer to that. So I want to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to discuss more about why this is important and what are the ramifications for the industry and even for play to earn going forward in this respect. But you're interested in more of my thoughts on design as well as my next book, then check out my current offerings. For entry-level students, we have 20 essential games to study, and then the Game Design Deep Dive series that takes an extensive look at different genres, with free-to-play coming in 2022. I've told the story before about how I had this realization about the complete lack of interest in MMOGs with World of Warcraft when I was doing the, chopping down a wood node, and I just had this moment of, why the heck am I doing this? And I had a similar moment very recently with one of the mobile games where I was re-rolling my account for the 20th time to try and get the best possible combination and the best characters. I just said, why am I doing this? Why am I spending all this time on this? And this is a major point about why we need to have this discussion, not only about the design and the psychology of digital goods, but also the cost and the value of them. As I said in the last point, developers should earn money for the content they make. It doesn't matter if it's a new character, if it's a wristwatch, if it's a painting that you can hang in a virtual home. But how much do they deserve for that? How much is that 6-star character really worth? What about a 4-star character? A fancy new cape? A new character in a fighting game? And we don't have a legitimate answer to this. And I had this other moment where I feel that the influencers who cover these games, the ones who, for every new mobile or live service game, they will make videos like, you must reroll your account for this. No, you need this character. No, keep rerolling until you get this character. This character breaks the game. No, this character breaks the game. No, you don't buy anything else, you say we're this character. they're either knowingly or unknowingly feeding into this manipulation. Because the point about these games is that there's always another overpowered character. There's always going to be a new champion or a new 6-star or whatever that is going to try and break the game or convince you that it breaks the game. And it is kind of that mystique and the kind of trick of these designers. Yes, that new 6-star character is amazing, but if they actually build the game around that character, all the pitchforks and torches are going to come out against the developer. So it's always about finding that next big thing. So that at the end of the day, if you can only fit a 5-party, 3-party, 6-party character, team, whatever, having 60 unbeatable and overpowered characters, you're not really getting value there. The rest of them just going to sit on your bench while you pay off your credit card bill trying to justify getting those characters in the first place. And here's the other point about these games, because some of them will argue, well, the 3-star, 4-star, whatever characters, they remain viable, so it's okay to make it super expensive or super difficult to get a 6-star. But you see, that's not how these games are designed. Again, as I've said before, like for people like myself, for Ramin, for people who have studied these games or worked on them, we know the levers that can be pulled. We know how to manipulate people to spend money. And there is not one live service, free-to-play, or mobile game, whatever, that is not going to make those 6-star characters appealing. And there will always be difficulty spikes, even in the games that I've enjoyed, that there will come a time where all of a sudden that difficulty curve goes from here to here. So you either need to get really good or really lucky, spend lots of time with those 3 or 4 stars, or spend a little bit of money and get that super rare or that really great 6-star that all of a sudden makes the rest of the game easier. And you see, this is the other point that I've talked about this before, but it begs to be mentioned again. For the people who spend their money right, who do it early and very focused, that can often lead to huge advantages, especially in any kind of competitive or PvP mode. I talked about that story Ramin said about how like a very big executive, I think Electronic Arts, ran away from a committee meeting or a kind of like big trial or whatever about the ethical nature of loot boxes. I have a very similar story. I saw a piece on, this was like on Twitter a few years ago, where a journalist and someone who was running one of the mobile companies, they were saying, well, why are mobile games given more respect in esports? I mean, look at this tournament. All these people are playing and they didn't have to spend 1 cent to get in. So I posed a question to both of them on Twitter. What was the max spend or the lifetime spend of these people to get to that point to compete? And both of them never said one word. If we were in person, they probably would have, turned around and started running in that direction from me. And you see, this is the point about why we need these conversations, is that there should not be anything in a live service game that is worth 400, 600, whatever. If we're talking into the triple digits or even into 4 digits, that should not be in a video game. And for a lot of these games, again, it becomes a case of the rich getting richer. If I know what exactly to spend money on, that can make my PvP account better. So in that respect, I can earn more free currency earlier, thereby propelling me higher up. So that for the people who do make it to the end, who have all the best characters, who are the top 10 on the PvP side, they don't really need to spend that much money anymore. They're getting it all for free. But again, how much did it cost to get to that point? And that is something that people typically don't like to answer. Now, when we have these pricing and, the FOMO and, you need to get this right away, this is another aspect of this. there should not be any trick purchases. The ones that only the suckers buy. Because those are the ones that are going to be front and center. The ones that people who have poor impulse control, who don't understand, again, the pools and the levers behind these games, they're going to fall for it. And none of these games should have that. I mean, it shouldn't be that big of an ask. If you're going to purchase in the game, it should be worth it. So, I did say in the last word, I wanted to briefly mention play to earn. I want to say it here. When it comes to these games, as I've said, the developers should not be pricing something at $200, $400, $1,000. But if we're talking about a game focused or created around a player economy, or the players are dictating the price and the values of things, then yeah, we could have something that is worth $100, $500, if it can be bought, sold, traded, bartered, whatever, between players. The problem, and where this gets very troublesome, is that the developer is the one who's saying, yes, this character is worth $635, and you can't do anything else with it. You get that character, well, we have your money. You can't trade it, you can't sell it. And this, again, when we talked about play to earn and that whole thing, this is the one aspect that I want to see more people focus on, is being able to cultivate and create a player economy or a player-based economy that is separate from the developers. But of course, for a lot of those games out there, they do that. It means that the developer is not the one in control of how much money they're going to get. And a lot of people don't like the sound of that, especially, again, when you can have a $1,500 or, Diablo more, like several $1,000s spent on maybe getting a legendary gem. So to wrap things up, as we've talked about, when it comes to the free-to-play, loot box, monetization, whatever, we are well past the point of having this discussion about what should be the max spend. What should the maximum value of a digital good be? And it's a question that a lot of developers and publishers don't want to have. But as we have been seeing with more psychological manipulation, more dark side techniques being used, we need to have this discussion. We need to have an actual sit-down topic about ethical monetization in these games. I would love to have it. I'm sure Ramin would love to be on there as well. But if you want to know more about this, shameless plug time, go pre-order my next book, Game Design Deep Dive, free to play. So with that said, let me know what you think and answer those questions I said in the first part. Do the liking, subscribing, and commenting. Check out our Discord and Patreon, and come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games.